All right, so here's my Gotrax G4. Got a flat tire. I'm not sure what happened. I usually use this thing for going around the neighborhood and going to the post office and such. So only a few miles here and there, so I don't use it much. And I don't have no idea what I rolled over, if I did roll over something. But anyways, I'm gonna take it apart. So nuts on both sides. It's a 19 millimeter. So you get a 19 millimeter on the one side and on the other side. So you could hold one side while you loosen up the other. It's loose. Let's see if I can loosen this one without holding it. Yep, I can. Okay, so both of them got loose. Let's see. Yeah, I don't need to take it all the way out. So I just leave it a little bit in there. Get it off the kickstand. So that way you just drop down. This thing could just kind of stand on its own, like so. Alright. So, okay. So here, so this rim is a little bit different from the other rim. This one is actually a split rim. So actually that's a good thing. It'll make it a lot easier to change out. So these Allen heads here are 5 millimeters. 5 millimeters. Oops. Oh jeez. Maybe I should have loosened them up when it was still on the scooter. Just loosen them up real quick. That's still okay. Not too bad. So I'm going in a crisscross pattern. Well, that one's all rusty. That one bottom on the bottom. So you see a little bit dark spot. You know, that's. I'm sure you guys can see it, but that's dog pissing on it. That's dog piss. You get those damn dogs need to get fixed, but we can call around to all the vets, and none of the vets right now are willing to do that. It's like, and it's been like that for like ever since lockdown. Call everyone and it's like, no, oh no, we don't want to do that, and then they tell us how much it costs, which is really freaking expensive, but no one's willing to do it. It's like, what the hell? And I think that this is you know, it's the Wuhan virus. That's the excuse of not doing it. It's like, really? So I don't know what's up with that. It's BS as I'm concerned. So anyways, so the backside, the nut is, you know, it's recessed in the spoke, so it holds itself, so you don't have to worry about it. So I'm glad they started with this split rim design, because a regular without the split rim, it's like really pain in the butt to take apart, because it's just, man, you know, it's a lot of work. On a bicycle with the big wheels, you have a lot more slack. On a little scooter like this, the wheels are so small that you don't have much slack, so that's why it's very difficult to take off the tire if you didn't have this split rim. The split rim design, so thank God for that. Let's see, put these where they don't get lost. So there's 6 of them, 6 nuts and bolts on each side. And the nut on the other side is a nylon locking nut, the nylon type. Usually those types, they're almost really supposed to be for one time use, and you're supposed to replace them. But most people don't, and I'm not gonna replace them. That nylon, when you use it after the first time, it doesn't doesn't stick like like it did when it was new. So let's go to loosen this one up. So yeah, so it just pop right open, split rim. That's cool. I like that. That's a very smart design. Let's see what the hell's wrong with it. Ooh, I can see the fucking piss still in here. You still see the yellow. I need to rinse it out before I go further. Get the valve stem out. So that means it hasn't been pissed there for that not that long ago. It's probably only been a few days maybe at the most. Okay. Something on here was leaking. I don't know what. So let me stick my hand in there and see if I can feel anything. So when you do this, when you stick your hand in here, be mindful of thorns and glass, because you can cut yourself, especially with glass or anything metal. Usually with thorns, not so bad. So I don't feel nothing on that side. So this side. Didn't feel nothing on this side either. So let's see where it was positioned. So let's see, what was the piss? The piss was over here somewhere. So it was somewhere like that. No, wait a minute. Somewhere like that, I think. So that means the valve stem was about right here. Basically, the valve stem was about where the piss mark is. So I'm gonna take this and pump it up and see where it's leaking from. I wonder if this thing is just it leaked because oh, I see it right there. I see it. So that right there, I'm sure you guys can see that. So that's not even a puncture. That's like it's like the rubber broke down, or yeah, it looks like the rubber just broke down because it got aged. And this thing is made in China. China rubber is really shitty. It's like, you know, China rubber is horrible. The quality is horrible. So anyways, yeah, I can see it right there. So I'm gonna pump this up and see where it leaks. If it's from that or not, but my suspicion is right there. Yeah, so my suspicion is right. It's leaking right there where especially it's just worn out. And it's possible that when this thing was put together, the split rim coming together might have maybe pinched just a little bit or something. But looking at it the way it is, it doesn't look like it got pinched. You know, looking at it, it looks like it's just falling apart. See, I can see it. See how it's see that? So it looks like it's just falling apart. So anyways, that's trash. I didn't want to fix this because this thing is just like falling apart, especially close to the valve stem. It's not a good idea to, you know, you can't do much when something is leaking close to the valve stem. So I'm gonna replace that, put a new one in. Okay, so I cleaned the dog piss off as much as I could. I just hosed it down a little bit. And I can still kind of smell it, man. It's fucking gross. Dog piss is disgusting. Oh, I don't like this rim. Looking at the material here, it's machined out. It's been machined flat. You actually see inside the aluminum here, there's like cavities, basically porosity over here too. So that's not good. That tells me that when this thing was made, when the aluminum was poured, it had a yeah, I can see it all along here too. I can see like little pores, little porosity all along here. That means it's very poorly made. When it was made at the aluminum mill, the foundry, when it was poured as molten aluminum into a solid, and you know, and wait to cool into a solid, it wasn't done properly. It basically got contaminated, neither because it had other whatever dirtiness that made it dirty, other crap made it dirty, or potentially also oxygen getting in there. Anytime oxygen touches molten metal, it will cause contamination of the metal. It actually starts to boil. The the molten metal will actually start to boil, and that boiling is basically the contamination. It's what you usually see, the porosity. All right, so that's stick it on. There's no side. It doesn't matter which side, whatever. I don't give a shit. Just all that matters is the valve stem is on the valve stem hole, right there, like so, like that. On this side, just when I put this on, be mindful of the tube. Oh, the tube is way bigger than the diameter of the rim, right there. So no big deal. Just put this back on. Again, I love the split rim design. Split rim design is kind of like a you look at Vespas, old school Vespa, the 2-stroke Vespas. Those also use tubes and a split rim, so that way it's easy to, you know, you could fix your flat or whatever on a scooter, on a Vespa scooter. If you're on some road trip on the side of the road somewhere. Oops, god dang it. Oh, god dang it. Maybe I should put all those nuts in there. Let me screw one in first. Okay, that's one's in. Put one in the other side. Oop, shit. They all fell out. Put one on the other side. It's my little tool. And it's in. Yeah, so anyways, yeah, so the old Vespas, they had that design, the split rim design. So that's a very clever design, but you know, but the bad thing is that when you have that type of thing, it's only, you know, you can only use it for with a tube tire. You can't use tubeless because, you know, the split is where it's gonna leak. I mean, I guess you could design it where, I already put this thing together, but where the two sides mate. Like, you could design where the two sides mate. You put like an O-ring all the way around, right? You put the O-ring all the way around, then it could seal, and you don't have to worry about it leaking. And I don't think I've ever seen that before. All the split rims I've ever seen have always been tubes. But man, that would be a fucking awesome idea right there. Shit. You know, you heard it here first. I never had anyone mention, you know, making a split rim into a tubeless. I don't know of any that are tubeless either. So you heard it here first. You heard that idea. That's where it came from. It came from my mouth. All right, so I'm gonna start tightening this up. So I just basically pick one side. And on the back side, I'm holding my finger here so that way the nut stays in the recess, so that way it doesn't spin. I'm just gonna, you know, just lightly until it stops. You know, just lightly. I'm not trying to tighten anything right now. I'm just gonna get that initial mating on there. So actually, right now I see. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I see on the edge here. I can actually see the edge of the rim a little bit. But on this side, do I see? Yeah, I see a little bit too. I guess there it is. Yeah, you know what? I don't really give a shit. It doesn't matter. All the mounting bolts line up, so that's what really matters. This thing doesn't, you know, it doesn't. I see this rim spinning down that, and that's pretty normal. There's no pressure in the tube, so that way, that's why it spun. The rim spun on the tire. Okay, so they're all in. So now I'm gonna pick one, whichever one. Let's just set on this one right here, this rusty one. The rim just spun, so I'm gonna put it on this side. When you put it like this, you can have more leverage. Look at the relation of the wheel. when the wrench is going across the wheel, you have more leverage. If I'm over here on this side, I actually have less leverage. So I'm gonna do it this way so I could tighten it up a little bit more. Oops. Like so. This one. Two. And I'm just holding the rim, you know, with my fingers in my hand basically. That's the cross pattern right there. Let's go back over to the side. Actually, no, let's go clockwise. So the next one's over here. So again, I'm running the wrench across the face of the, you know, across the wheel. So that way I have more leverage against it. So last one. Instead of going out like this, you actually have less leverage when you do that. Because you're using the wheel to, and when you're holding on to it, and also the friction here, it's all holding itself in place. But when you do it over here like this, you actually have less, you know, less leverage. So let me rotate that around. Okay, so I'm good there. Obviously the rim was spinning here, so be mindful of the tube. So the tube, I think it only went to a certain direction. It's not, the tube doesn't actually come out perpendicular, it comes out at an angle, so be mindful of that. You don't try to straighten it out. If you straighten it out, it might not be right. So I just need to pump it up. Alright, so I got my air chuck here. So remember this valve stem is angled, right? So I'm just gonna hold it there with my with finger in place if I can, because the air chuck, you need to push it in. Not much there. Oh, dang it, it's not moving. Deal with two hands. This is where a bicycle pump is actually a little bit easier. Okay, there we go. So it's nice and tight there. So it's not moving anymore, right? I'm gonna pump it up. What's the maximum on this thing? Maximum is inflate to. Oh, look at that! I have a cut. I didn't see that. And I don't think that's the actual cut. I think this is I think the rubber. The rubber tire here is falling apart too. Again, it's probably from oxidation. Oxidation and a little bit of sunlight will do that to rubber. So 36 psi, I think it is. That's maximum 36. Maximum, yeah, inflate to 36. So I think I'm over there. I'm probably closer to 50 maybe. Oh, not even. I'm only at 26. Never mind. Take that back. Pump it up a little more. Actually, my air compressor, I have it set at, I think, about 40 or 45 at the most. Okay, 46. Or maybe I have it set up to 50 or something like that. So somewhere around there. Anyways. Man, I can smell the piss on the freaking tires. Right here too. My hand's right on it. God damn it. Man, it doesn't take much for the pressure to go down. Yeah, that's good. That's like 37 or something like that. That's good. Okay, back to here. So earlier when this nut came off right here, the little spacer on it fell off. So the spacer here goes like that. So the spacer basically rests against the bearing race, so that way it's, you know, that's what stays there. So put that back in there. Put this back in here. So there's two spacers. There's a spacer on one side and the other. And this one's actually bigger, or it's wider. This spacer over here is small. Shit, what side where? Let's see, only one of this. The reason why I remember that is this brake mounting was on on the left side. So on the same side as the rear. The rear house on the left side. So that's how you know. So anyways, so I believe the spacer goes on the inside, and the fork will mount between the spacer and the nut. Yep, I was right. Fork mounts between the spacer and the nut because the space is just big enough for that. Oops. Put the kickstand back down. Come on. You know what? This thing, these things here have a little flat spot. See the flat spot? So you gotta line up the flat spot for it to slide in. Didn't notice that at first. I did now. So find out flat spot. Dang it. I'm gonna take off the nut so I can spin it freely. Right, put the nut back in here on the side. Alright, so that's on. So from there, you basically just push down on the front end, so that way it's the fork is sitting on both sides properly. Otherwise, it will be the axle with there instead of being nice and squared up. It might be like this or like that or whatever. It didn't sit up properly. So pushing down on it, and just need to tighten it back up. A little bit there, a little bit here. Doesn't need much because it's this wrench is actually not very long, so it doesn't have that much torque, which is actually a good thing. I don't really need much. It's like what, maybe the wrench is about 8 inches long, maybe 7 or yeah, probably 8 inches long, or maybe a little bit longer than 8 inches, somewhere between 8 and 10. All right, that's it. So that's how you put the cap back on. That's how you change the tube on the Gotrax G4. Gotrax G4, changing the front tube. That's nice and easy. The rear, the rear looks like it's easy too. It has a split rim as well. Looking at the rear here, oh, you don't see it on this side, but on this side, so these little button heads right here, this is to go into the motor, open up the motor. But over here, these ones right there, those one is to split the rim. So they made it easy. That's a good design compared to the older Gotrax. You gotta freaking go in there and freaking wrench it. So yeah, so it's a lot easier, much more clever design. Ooh, it's too tight. Good job, Gotrax, on having the split rim design.